everybody. Is this working? Is this thing on? Good afternoon! Hope you're all well. Hello, Mark. Hello, Rez. I love you too. You're a beautiful human. And Votan! I have an echo.
Oh. Echo gone? Echo should be gone now. There you go. I unplugged my camera before Warhammer Fest to see if I could take it with me. And the batteries I have for it are all absolutely rubbish. So I chose not to, and then I plugged it back in, and clearly it reset everything. Votan! Shoo! Thank you very much, Reza. That's very, very kind of you. How are we all? Are we all good? Are we all good out there? Hughes of Heresy. Oh, buddy, we love you. By far, chatting to you at Warhammer Fest was one of my highlights. Oh, that's very kind of you. Warhammer Fest was such a good time. I loved meeting all of you guys. And, hanging out, learning about all the good stuff that was coming out. It was fantastic. It was a great time out. 12-hour shifts, rock going, man, that sucks. Mr. Chunky, end of a 12-hour shift as well. Blimey. I never did 12-hour shifts when I worked in a real job. I do 16-hour shifts now when I paint. But it's painting, so it's fun. Or at least it should be fun. That's what it should be. Yeah, I've had a tough week, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Since Warhammer Fest, I've been really unwell. And I've had... So on the Thursday before, I threw my back out doing something. I have no idea. I just woke up on Thursday morning, got out of bed, and my back was in agony. And then Friday it was worse, and we travelled on the Friday, so it was carrying everything out to the car, and then carrying everything out to up to the room as well, and sitting in the car for 3 hours. It just absolutely knackered my back. And then being at Warhammer Fest, I was in a lot of pain. so if at any point I seemed a bit like wincy or a bit quiet, it was because my back was in agony. And then when I got back from Warhammer Fest, I had the flu like everybody else did. I tested and it wasn't COVID, but yeah, I got back and my back just went worse. It's better now. I've been stretching it several times a day, so literally right in the base of the spine, so like doing anything like in terms of like range of movement was just awful. So like sitting up, lying down, it was terrible. It was awful. It's better now though. I've had a lot of rest, and my cough and my cold is nearly all gone. Still got a bit of it, so I apologize if at any point I end up you know. Yeah, so it's been a tough week or two. I haven't been able to film anything for tonight. Normally we'd have a painting video come out tonight, and normally we'd have one on Saturday, but I'm just so far behind. I don't have anything ready. So painting videos will resume next week. But I figured I'd do a couple of streams and we could hang out, which would be cool if you're into it. And if you're into it, please do leave a like on the stream. That would be very nice of you. You've been teasing that you might do a Starborn color scheme tutorial. Is that still a plan? Yeah, I'm thinking on it. I think what I would like to do for the Starborn, because the Starborn stuff, as far as I can figure out, you kind of have like the whole thing looks the same. It's just you have to have a scheme. Whereas with the Coalesced, you've got lots and lots of different things going on there. So all the pictures I've seen of Starborn, like whether it's Croxagore or Saurus or whatever, they all kind of have a uniform. So what I might do is, when they go on sale, I will pick up a box of Saurus Warriors, and I'll do a couple of different schemes with them. If that sounds entertaining. Painting with my throw up. Blech. Yeah. I'm sure there will be a lot of Seraphon stuff yet to come. There's a lot of models yet to come out yet, so we have to see what they're like. What have we got? We've got the Croxagore. They're on the way at some point. There was the... What was he called? Scar Veteran on Dinosaur? There's him. There's the Astrolith Bearer? Is that what it's called? The names confuse me in the Seraphon. There's a lot to remember. And yeah, I thought I would also talk about just, you know, I had a real... I think I've touched on it briefly in the Warcom, not Warcom, the Warhammer Fest video that I put out, part 2. I thought I'd talk a little bit about Golden Demon. Because I genuinely, like, there's a bit in the footage where we're filming all this kind of stuff, and then I just stopped because I couldn't, because I felt really disappointed for a minute, and it was an irrational disappointment. Oh God, because, you know, it was like, not even a pin. But yeah, I think there's a number of reasons why not. It's nothing to do with the quality of my paint job, if you see what I mean. Because as you guys know, when watching my videos and seeing the stuff and actually painting your own miniatures and using the techniques that we get, you get some really absolutely fantastic high quality painted miniatures. So, you know, nothing to do with that. So yeah, I had a real, like, oh God, I've been a fraud all this time, kind of moment. And then I was like, look, I didn't paint anything specifically for Golden Demon. I just took my favorite bits and just thought, you know, this will do it. And you know, that was naive. And oh, Mr. Ostrander. Couldn't score the Votan pre-order. Here's the dollars I set aside for it. We'll have to eventually live vicariously through you. My goodness me, that is so very kind of you. Thank you so much. Message me on Discord, because I might be able to help you out with something. I think I've got some Votan stuff that is spare. Message me on Discord, and I'll see if I can send you something. I don't want you to miss out. John Elias Smith. Yeah, no, it's the only way I keep strong. What's this? Shaking my pots. I want to get a vortex mixer. It's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I've put it off long enough. But yeah, so I was really disappointed for about half an hour on the Sunday, and like Rich and Adam and Alice all know, because I was just like, I feel sad, but I have to get through it, and I have to move on. And I know what I need to do. So would it discourage me from going again? No. Would I do it again? Probably. I just know that I would have to. Like I originally planned, I was going to build a whole thing and do a whole thing for it. I just ran out of time. I couldn't do it. So I picked my highest or my favourite miniatures that I've painted in the last sort of 6 to 8 months and put them in. And I saw a lot of people enjoying Archaon, and that was great. Seeing him in the cabinet, a lot of people were like, "Wow!" And I was like, "Yeah, only one, baby." I used my mom's massage wand. Oh, that's a really good idea, actually. Because my mum has one of those she had a knee replacement. It's one of those things. It looks like a hideous torture device. I might try that. Hope you recover well. Are you excited about the new Tyrannids? I hope to see you paint them. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to them. It's good stuff. I'm also like, this is the thing about a new edition, 10th edition particularly. The launch box is always like a slap in the face of how good it is, but you've no idea what's coming next. I mean, if you think of like, I think the Indomitus one was interesting, but like we saw the multi-part Blade Guard, right? Well, we saw the push fit Blade Guard in Indomitus, and then the multi-part Blade Guard kit came out, and it was like, oh my god. I think it's going to be the same thing for the Stern Guard. I think the stuff that we've seen in the box looks cool, but if you think of what the Stern Guard kit looks like at the moment, I think we're in for some absolutely phenomenal stuff. You doing box art colors? Yeah, I will probably do them as High Fleet Leviathan. I've been kind of trying to decide whether or not I would do a new Space Marine army, and I was waiting for the Leviathan box to be fully previewed to see whether or not it would make sense as Blood Angels, and then seeing all the Tyrannids, we knew it was going to be Tyrannids, right? But seeing all the Tyrannids, and they are Leviathan. And then we've got Terminators, and we've got Flamer Boys. I was like, yeah, this does probably fit as Blood Angels. So if you would like to see them as Blood Angels, they will probably be Blood Angels. And yeah, we're going to go for Leviathan on the Tyrannids. But again, what I would like to do is when the multi-part versions come out afterwards, is to pick up a box of Hormigorns and then do all the other High Fleets. Because we've done so many Space Marines. And I might do 10 more Space Marine chapters, like the Brazen Claws and the Minotaurs and things like that. I might do that as well. Just to, support you guys as much as possible with your painting desires. Your voice is calming when you instruct your painting. Oh, thank you, Greg. My voice isn't quite right at the moment. But good to see you too, Dale. Do you play often or just mainly focus on the painting side of the hobby? Pretty much, my playing is at events. And I get to as many as I can, but I don't like going to them on my own. So I go to the ones that I know that like Adam and Rich will go to. And I'd like to play more. I want to play quite a lot in 10th edition because it's a brand new version of the game, right? Like 8th edition, I played tons. So moving into 9th, it just kind of made sense. So I didn't play as much in 9th. But I would like to do a lot more playing in 10th. And I'd like to do a lot more battle reports and stuff. Because it's great content. And it's always a good time. Do you ever sell any of your minis that you paint up in your tutorials? Dumfries Gamers, you are still my favourite Warhammer painting channel. I did see you message earlier. Thank you very much, my friend. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm in the process of making a list of things to move on, because as you can see here, there's a lot of Warhammer, and I don't need all of it. So things like I've got like Zarek, the Silent King, for example. He's been in there since I've done the painting tutorial, and I'm not going to get to doing a full Necrons army. So things like Zarek, the Void Dragon, he's up here. You probably can't see him. He's one I want to move on. So either I'm going to sell them or I'll raffle them, because I like doing the raffle, because it's like, you know, you can get them for, you know, for a ticket for $5, and there's a chance that you'll get it, but like, you know, it's cheaper than being like, here's my Zarek, 300 quid, please. Does the Leviathan box fit well for Dark Angels? I'd say it does, yeah. You've got some Deathwing Terminator foremost, so they're really cool. There's a captain in there who works really well. You could paint the Reaver Lieutenant as a Ravenwing guy. The Flamers are a little bit of weird for Dark Angels, but I can see that they fit. And the Stern Guard absolutely look like Dark Angels veterans. You can shoot me an email, DumfriesGamersTV, therealwarhipster@gmail.com. You can ask me if there's anything that I want to get rid of. If there's something you've got your eye on in particular, Angriest Ron, just a small thank you. Your world has gave me the guidance and courage to concentrate on my first major faction ready for 10th edition. Oh, you're very, very kind of you. Thank you so much, and I'm glad I could help. I'm just shaking this pot of Dawnstone endlessly. I'm painting some Tempestus Scions at the moment. This is to get my confidence back. So I'm just... I think I said it on Instagram. I was like... I'm just kind of in this... I'm in this kind of bubble of... I haven't painted since the Thursday before Warhammer Fest, so it's been a couple of weeks. The first time I picked up a paintbrush, it was yesterday. Would you like to watch me paint? How much to buy me? Only your endless love. That's all I require. Yes, trust the computer. Come on now. Do 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 do. Any chance of you revisiting Rubric Marine Contrast paint? I need to do some Scarab Occult Terminators. That's something I need to do. As I've got them, I need to finish them. Where's my guy? There's my guy. Is that in focus? Yeah, that looks in focus to me. Rubric Marine Contrast versus Classic. Yeah, I could do that actually. That's a good idea. I've got one Rubric Marine somewhere. I could use him for that. How's that? I'll see if I can pick up a single rubric and marine, and then I can do it, because I don't really want to buy a box, because then I'll have like 9 guys just left over. That's what I did before. Is I went and bought one. I don't know where he's gone. He's here somewhere. Maybe if I just do that. Yeah, that looks to be more in focus. Here's a big question for the chat. If I was to do an alternate Space Marine army that wasn't the Blood Angels, which one would you want to see? The Broadsword Marine. I do wonder who I'm going to mainline for 10th edition. Because I didn't expect demons to be the faction that I ended up playing the most, but I did. Stupid sexy Bellicor model. Oh, I've done an absolutely terrible job on that. Just missed most of it. This is what I mean about my back, right? Is it's like this is a much more comfortable position for me to do this in. For longer periods of time. I just realised I'm not even on the bloody... I don't know where it's gone. Something's gone a bit wrong with my OBS setup. I'll figure it out in just a second. One moment, guys. Any chance of a Horus Heresy Mortarian tutorial? Yeah, there's always a chance. I just have to procure the model. And that costs money. I'd like to get to a scenario where all of the Heresy Primarchs have a video. Because at the moment, as of the Guilliman tutorial, we're up to date. Right, let me see if I can figure this out. Something's gone very wrong there. What is this? Wow. I can't figure it out, guys. I'm sorry. I'll have to figure it out offline. It's just what you want to see. Hello, Gutsy Toad Sage. Has OBS been drinking this morning? Yeah, it has, because it's just decided that, like, half my pre-setups are just like, no, it's broken, soz bro. So, like, this is fine. And then normally this would sit in the corner when I'm painting. Oh, felt my knees are terrible. When I was a young warthog, I got into a lot of scrapes with my knees. Like severe rugby injuries, twisted knees, pulled, oh god, hyperextension. I broke my ankle. I've got a tendon that doesn't sit right in my other ankle. So when I used to play sports, it was just like, it's quite funny as I've gotten older, I have to wear more and more supports. So like last time I played football, I had like 3 or 4 bits of strapping on my right knee, and everyone was like, who does he think he is? And I was just like, somebody who doesn't want his knee to fall apart. Hey, Peter. Ah, still one of my absolute highlights, meeting you and the peeps at Warhammer Fest. Much love, bro. One of my highlights was meeting you. All my highlights are always meeting all of you lot. Black Knight Airsoft, thoughts on Tyrannids for 10th? I think they're great. I think the rules are pretty cool as well, as we've seen them. I'm big into it. I think it's really cool. The thing I'm really excited for is the fact that Battle Shock seems to actually have an impact on the game. Because the last time out, when we had a new morale phase in 9th edition with the attrition test and all that kind of thing, it sounded really good. And then the first two factions were Space Marines, who were not affected by attrition tests. You couldn't be, you could only lose one or whatever, and they couldn't accept any modifiers to it. And their leadership was quite high, so they rarely ever failed. They just died outright. And then you had Necrons, who were all like leadership 10, so they rarely failed it anyway. And then you had a bunch of things where it was just like, yep, you're just immune to morale tests. How about that? Or it's just like, you're such a small unit option that you're never going to take a unit test anyway. So it's like within 9th edition, the balancing of power versus morale was basically a case of stuff either died or it didn't run away. That was it. So, whereas this time out, it's like Battle Shock will affect everything. But you're not going to lose models, you're just going to lose abilities, which is really strong. It's really, really good. Dan Robinson, welcome to being a member. That's very kind of you. And 0-Bit, welcome to being a member. You have the ability to join the Discord now, the best Discord in the world. Please do, absolutely. They shall know no fear. The Space Marine shall know no rules. As it was for a very long time. But now they do know rules. And yeah, I think Tyrannids being able to affect Battle Shock is a really strong thing. Especially when it's, it does exactly what it does, where it's, you lose basically your objective control, and you lose access to stratagems and stuff like that, which is really powerful, and it's a very big, it's a very big impact on the rest of the world of Warhammer. It means there's going to be a lot of tactical play, and it means that the Bravery Bomb or the Battle Shock Bomb will be one of those things where it's like, yes. Do you reckon it will be hard for people to get hands on the Leviathan box set? No, I don't. I think it'll be pretty easy. Indomitus was... The initial sale of it on the day was quite hard, but then they made to order it. I think they'll have made tons of Leviathan boxes, because, like, Indomitus... I know that they made thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and it just sold out. Dominion, they made even more, and that didn't quite sell out. So I think they'll go for the same amount as boxes they made of Dominion, but probably even more. And there was a made-to-order aspect of it as well. So I don't think you'll run out of space for getting Leviathan box. Don't forget poor orcs in the morale talk. No, and that's true. Like, but then orcs as well had that thing of mob rule. So the more stuff that you had in range, the more modifiers you had to it. So it's like you didn't really lose stuff until you lost more orcs. Yeah, no, I think you'll be able to get a hold of Leviathan pretty easily. It's like no, don't be complacent about getting it, right? But don't log on at like 4 o'clock on a Wednesday thinking it'll still be there. I suspect it will, but I think Leviathan will be pretty easy to get hold of. It's their mainline game, and it's a mainline edition, and it's the relaunch of an edition. Like Dark Imperium. Dark Imperium was easy to get a hold of. I think the thing that will be slightly tricky to get hold of is probably the index books. So if you want the books, those will be the things you'll probably need to be really on it if they come out at the same time. And I think they will. But I suspect that'll be the one to watch out for. Because they won't have printed as many of those as they have of Leviathans. Yeah, I think the cards will be really, really popular, 100%. My theory is the current level of stock problems is because they've allocated space to this. There's probably an element of truth to that, but I also think there's an element of them underestimating just how popular these things are going to be. And I think Games Workshop is always hesitant to, because they never know. And you never know as a business when you manufacture and sell product whether or not something's going to be popular or whether or not it's going to just fall on its ass. So you think of things like the one I'll point to is Rise of the Phoenix. Do you guys remember that box set? The one with Jane Czar and Drazar in it. That box, there was a lot of hype for it online, and then you could still buy it in stores like 6 to 8 months later because they just hadn't sold through stock. So it's impossible to gauge it from online hype because people go, yay, new Howling Banshees, and then it comes out and everyone goes, oh, I've already got 30. And I think it's the same thing for a lot of these types of things. I think there's I think they underestimate how popular some products are going to be and overestimate how popular some other products are going to be. And that is a difficult balancing act for any business in any form. It's hard. I don't think anyone could have predicted Farsight. Exactly. Like, you think tail end of 7th edition, Tau were exceptionally popular. Throughout the whole of 8th, that popularity has died off, and throughout 9th, it died off. Then it went up for about 3 months when their book came out and they were quite good, and then it died off again completely. So if you go, here's a new Farsight model, you're thinking, if you look at, like, if you base it based off of, like, the data that you maybe have at your disposal, and they've got a lot more data, so if you based it off of, let's say, tournament or event appearances by Tau, you'd be like, we only need to make like 10,000 of these. The hard one is like is Warhammer and Games Workshop products feel like only you and your mates in the local area, that there's only ever like 10-15 of you. So if you've got a friendly local gaming store, not in London, but like there's one here in Cheltenham called Incom Gaming, and you go in it and you never see anyone in there. You maybe see 2 or 3 other people. So you think maybe there isn't enough like interest in the local area to get one, and you as an individual might assume that a shop like that would get maybe 5 to 10 copies of a box. But because you're the only person who ever goes in, you're like, oh, I'll be able to get one of these. But you're not there the entire time of its opening hours, so you don't see how much foot traffic there is, and so on and so forth. So it's always like it's a case of, it always feels like when these boxes come out that like Games Workshop makes like 100 of them, when they make about 10,000 of them. It's just there's all the silent operators out there who buy them because it's difficult to not kind of it's difficult to picture a world where there's a bunch of people who buy this product and they're not online sharing about it. Like my local shops struggle with stock levels at the moment, and that is still ongoing problems from distribution is still a challenge in the world at the moment. Manufacturing is still a challenge. Like the pandemic might be over, but if you get like COVID in the workforce in a manufacturing plant, you can shut the whole thing down for days and days, because everyone's off. But there are times when, of course, you're just like, just make 100,000 of them. Because you know people are going to want it. But then the other thing that I would say is, like, my criticism of Games Workshop is that their communications processes aren't good enough. Because let's take the example of Farsight and the Lion as things. People really want those miniatures. And if you then look at the example of Vashtor, Azrael, and the Wrath of the Soulforged King. The Wrath of the Soulforged King box came out, and that sold out over the course of the weekend. It did sell out on the day. But the Wrath of the Soulforged King box came out, and it was very popular because people wanted the Vashtor and the Azrael model. And then Vashtor and Azrael came out individually 3 weeks later, which is not a huge amount of time. And that's how I know they always wanted it to be, is that, you know, you get the sort of 3-4 weeks gap. So if you take the example of the Lion, it's like people really want that model. Same for Farsight. Just tell us when to expect it individually, so you can buy it in the shiny box now, or you can buy it individually in 3 to 4 weeks. And I think that would solve a lot of the kind of. I think that's the right thing to criticize, if you see what I mean. David 5th Ultra, that's very kind of you. Don't worry about it. Contrasting Angron. He's a lovely miniature, isn't he? That's the thing I find interesting about the scalpers, like with Gallowfall and the Lion, is if we all decided, do you know what? If I had like 250,000, 300,000 subscribers, I would put a video out saying, look, everybody, let's all promise that none of us will buy it from eBay. And that would kill it. All it takes is one. All it takes is one time for somebody to be sat there with 10 copies of Gallowfall and unable to shift it for the obscene prices, and then they're just stuck with that model. And I know it's hard, because it's like you want the models, and you know, if the box goes on sale for £100 and it's up on eBay for 300, and you go, well, I'm not paying that, but then you wait a week and the box price comes down to about 100 or maybe 200, you think, well, it's only £50 more than maybe what I would pay, so then you go and buy it. Well, and that's the point, is I think if Games Workshop said, like, what's the thing about Gallowfall you want? It's the terrain, right? So if they went, yeah, the terrain will be out in 4 weeks' time. Because I've found more and more, like, with boxes, so stuff like Wrath of the Soulforged King. If I wasn't as in the lucky position I'm in, where I get the box sent to me, I would have waited. I wouldn't have bought the box. So if they said, like, here's the box, 4 weeks' time, this will come out separately, I think it would fix a lot of the issues, because then you can just get the bits that you want. Yeah. And that I think is the constructive feedback. I think this is what not a lot of people do, is they don't offer constructive feedback. They just get really annoyed and they make videos about it on YouTube for clicks and for growth. Which, you know, do what you want. But like, if they just if they just communicated further out, I think it would solve a lot of the crossness. Nuance is last one. Tell me about it. Oh, did Dante finally go out of stock, did he? Because I was surprised that he was still in stock like 2 days later. But then he was in a basic normal box. The Lion was in a fancy box. A fancy box with fancy art prints and some blade guard. So that the Lion was limited by how many versions of that box they printed, I suspect. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to really get in the shop. I got in the shop on Monday, and very briefly on Sunday at Warhammer Fest. One of the things I really wanted was the Primaris Champion, but I couldn't find him. Hi, Special K. Hello, Rezegul. I love you too. If you love my work, then I love you too. I'm going to paint the Lion in ultramarine colours to annoy everyone when I'm eventually am able to get him. Rez, you're an absolute hero. I love it. Did somebody ask me about the Votan rules earlier? Let's have a look at them, shall we? God, this is really weird. It's doing some very strange things. Ooh. There we go. The void is in our veins. Eye of the Ancestors. If your army faction has Leagues of Votan, each time an enemy unit destroys a Leagues of Votan unit from your army, that enemy gains 1 judgment token. An enemy unit can never have more than 2 judgment tokens. Any further judgment tokens a unit would gain beyond this are ignored. Each time a model from your army with this ability makes an attack that targets a unit that has 1 or more judgment tokens, until that model's attacks have been resolved, apply the relevant bonus from the table below to that attack. Okay. Relevant bonus. Yeah, okay, so it's either 1 or 2. It's not stackable. So Eminent Threat, add 1 to the hit roll. Now we've got a Grudge to Settle, add 1 to the hit roll, and add 1 to the wound roll. That's interesting. The Oathband detachment takes Spite to new levels, allowing you to single out a particular foe for retribution. Their ruthless efficiency rewards singular focus with an immense tactical advantage. Picking up 3 free command points right at the beginning of a battle can shape entire games. Good lord. At the start of the battle, select 1 unit from your opponent's army. That unit starts the battle with 2 judgment tokens. If at the start of any of your command phases, that enemy unit is destroyed, You can gain a number of CP depending on how early in the battle you destroy it. As shown below, you can only gain CP in this way once per battle, and CP gained in this way are an exemption to the core rules that limit the maximum number of CP you can gain per battle round to 1. Unit destroyed by the start of your first or second command phase, you gain 3. Third or fourth, you gain 2. Unit destroyed by the start of your 5th command phase, you gain 1. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. I guess the thing to do there is you just pick up the weakest unit on the opponent's side, and then you just absolutely nuke them in turn 1. So, like, you pick a unit of intercessors, for example, rather than picking like a tank. Well, I mean, you could pick up one of their big threats because you're +1 to hit and +1 to wound, and then just nuke it. Unit spotlight. Oh, okay, let's have a look at the Arthgin warriors, shall we? I loved as well yesterday, and we can look at it if you guys want to see it and hear my thoughts on the Battle Sisters. Where's it gone? There it is. One thing I really like is that they appear to be giving like battle line units like pretty crucial abilities to the way your army works. Like the Battle Sisters one, that was really good. So like you are going to be taking at least 1 or 2 units of Battle Sisters. It puts a lot of emphasis on taking troops, which will go a long way towards like balancing the game out. So like, you know, it's all well and good having the, let's say you have like an army that gets its rules announced where, you know, let's say like you have I don't know, something that's got really strong objective control. I mean, even the demons one, right, where it's like you can corrupt an objective and then it becomes part of your Shadow of Chaos. You want to do that because then you've got a deep strike nexus point somewhere in the on the battlefield that isn't in your deployment zone, which is very strong. So in turn 1, you move the fiends. If they still have a 16-inch move, you move them out onto the one in the middle. Then you go, hey, I've got this one, and then that's where you then deep strike your Scarbrand in, as an example. Luck has need keeps, toll earns. At the end of your command phase, if the unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control, even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. So that's very strong. You can get ignores cover with the Pantrap, the Spectral Scanner. Each time you target the bearer's unit with a stratagem, roll 1d6. On a 5+, you gain 1 CP. So you can gain 4 CP in turns 1 and 2 just with these guys alone. +6 feel no pain ability. That's neat. That's not ignore the first wound or anything like that. It's just a flat feel no pain. That's very simple. And you can get one of them to have the Weave Field crest. Doesn't tell us what the unit composition is on this one, because currently you can take Hearthkin in units up to 20, I believe. So we don't know if that's still a thing. The guns look pretty good. The Magna Rail Rifle, devastating wounds, heavy, 18-inch range. That's short. 1 shot, 5+ to hit. So +1 if it's a heavy weapon and it stood still, or +1 if you're shooting at something that's got a thing, got a judgment token on it. Strength 12, AP -3, D3 +3. That's pretty good. I like that. What are we on here? 4+ on all of these. Are they heavy? Cyclic Ion Cannon isn't. Magna Rail Cannon is. Hecaton Warhead isn't. Oh, and that's interesting. So the warhead is just one thing now. There's not 3 different options for it. That's good. Toughness 12, 2+ save, 16 wounds. Yeah, that's not going anywhere fast, is it? Nice. The beamer's no longer a line. That's good. It's less confusing. Reactive reprisal. That's fun. They look pretty good. I like it. I'll have to finish up my 2,000 points. But we don't know any points yet, it says. And we're back. That was odd. When I do that, it gives me this. Whatever the hell that's meant to be. I'm very excited to see Eldar as well. Did it tell me who was next? I think it's World Eaters next. We'll find out tomorrow. Oh, Pete, I will try and remember to send you a message. We'll work something out. I remember trying to get an interview with the CEO of GW in my old job, and I have never come across such an opaque company when it comes to comms. Yeah, no. Comms is the area that they can improve, 100%. It seems like all armies are getting pumped all around. Wonder if this is going to cancel each other out. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see the power massively creeped back. The points will go up, and then it will be more about tactically playing the game rather than obliterating your opponent in turn 1, which is what it is now. Because we can all pretend that the choice of secondaries is a super tactical thing, but there's like the 3 that you will always take, and then you just go for the outright murder fest, which is not a problem, but it is something that 9th edition is currently all about. Used to devastating effect in the doubles the other day at Warhammer Fest. We just went for the all-out murder. It wasn't really about tactical. It was a case of wait till turn 2, teleport Bellicor, teleport Scarbrand, and then just kind of kill stuff. And then the Space Wolves would move out across the battlefield and capture objectives and also murder stuff. Rez is saying that he was very tactical in his game. They had a Gunline, Astra Militarum, and Angron. So, no, they were all about murder as well. there was no tactical play there whatsoever. Rogaldorn and, what was it, 2 or 3 Lehman Russ? Blow everything up. Angron kills everything else. Win. Game over. Two Rust babies. I see. 2,000 points of guard, though. It would be basically the same thing again, right, Rez? But yeah. So yeah, I think I mentioned this already on the stream, but I can't remember. There won't be a painting video tonight, and there won't be one on Saturday. But what I am looking to do is make a couple of different, like, kind of easier videos to do. So one thing I know you guys have been asking for quite a lot is like just like things like how to thin your paints, how to mix your paints, how to edge highlight, that kind of thing. That's a video I'm planning on making this weekend for next week, because I don't have any models I can just like fully finish. Question: if I want to paint an Ultramarines Dreadnought based on your Dark Angels technique, what colours do I use for the blue? You had 2 layers before the Caliban on Dark Angels. Yeah, so the thing that I'm going to do... the thing I would say for Ultramarines is do an all-over layer of either Assaman Blue or Talassar Blue. Your choice. get that all on there. That's your pre-shade. So you can thin that down with a bit of contrast medium if you want. If it'll make it easier. To get it smooth, you probably should. Then I would do a 1-to-1 mix of Ultramarines blue and contrast medium and do that all over the top. And you maybe do 1 or 2 of those layers. And then if you need to smooth it out, you do Macragge blue. That's how I would do it. Quick question, Josh. Do you have any Space Marine tank tutorials lying around? I do. I certainly do. I have a Razorback tutorial out there. That's called the obnoxious title of how to paint contrast tanks properly, something like that. Let me grab the links for you, my friend. So what we've got is, so I did this one. Where's the share button? No, I don't want to download it. Let's head to YouTube. So here is I did a Spaceballs Gladiator. That's that one there. Purple. There you go, Mike. So I did that one. I did this one. This one's really old now, though. So that's my Razorback one. Razorback / Rhino. And then there's also things like the Hecaton Land Fortress. That's Vickley. That one would also help you. I've done a lot of videos. I'm just looking at them all now. Blimey. $585 videos. Apparently, is how many I've done. Screamers of Zinch. Yes, I do. That one I can grab you, no problem. There you go. There you go. Screamers of Zinch. How have you not done a Land Raider? I have a Land Raider, it's over there to do, but everyone mocks me for how bad the Land Raider was, even though I've been saying for months and months and months that the Land Raider is the best tank in the entire world. And now everyone's buying Land Raiders and they're like, what? No, I've always said it was the best thing in the world. It's like, no, you didn't. Trust me. Do you have models planned for 10th besides the new Space Marine and Tyrannid models? Not at the moment. I'm waiting to see what happens. What I might do, though, is I might leave it up to you guys to decide who I might mainline in 10th edition. Because I did Demons for all of 9th. Now I have enormous armies, so we have old leagues of Votan here. 4,000, 6,000 points of demons. Similar again in Blood Angels. I have Knights, Chaos Knights, Astra Militarum, Deathwatch, Grey Knights, Custodes, Tau. Got all of it. I have 1,000 points of World Eaters. They're all done. I'm having a hard time trying to paint Brain on Zoanthropes. Any cool tips or suggestions? Thanks. Brandon, what colour scheme are you painting your Zoanthropes? Because what I would do, based on the box art, let me pull up the old window. To the window. To the wall. So here on the Zoanthrope, so this is, I can't remember what the name of the thing is, but you see this kind of area around here. What I would do here is I would probably go over that with something along the lines of doing probably actually Berserker Bloodshade. So if you look at my Saurus Warriors video, you'll see the standard. The standard is how I would paint the fleshy parts on the brain, but then for the kind of psychic-y bits in between that, I would probably take some Baharoth blue and thin it down, sort of 5 or 6 parts medium to 1 part Baharoth blue, or water, whichever you prefer, and I would drop that into those recesses just around there. Is how I would do that. And obviously this is all part of the carapace on the back there, so that's whatever your colour of your flesh is. That would be how I would do it. Make sense? Flesh is Targor Raid Shade. That sounds delicious. Do you have any magnetization videos? I did a bit. I did some magnetization for some Dire Avengers. Let me see if I can find that video. Yeah, there we go. There you go. That's the magnetization of the Dire Avengers. Can you cover Leviathan on top of whatever color scheme Brandon has? For Zoanthropes, what's the highlight color for black leather? For black leather, I like doing Skaven Blight Dinge and Storm Vermin Fur, because it's got a real kind of grey, it's got a real kind of brownish grey finish to it, which really works with leather details. Leviathan Zoanthropes. Let me have a look at them. Leviathan Zoanthropes. Let's see if they've got any examples of what they look like. So people seem to do those quite red. Yes, because Leviathan's skin is quite pinky, right? So having it be quite red would make sense. So yeah, I would probably go for something like chucking on Blood Angels Red. and then like blending in the darkness. Maybe something like that. It's hard without a box art version of it. Ah, there we go. There's one. So here's the actual GW one. So they've gone for kind of making it more flesh colored. So in that instance, what I would do for Leviathan is I'd probably go for something like just like putting like Guilliman flesh over it, and then once again like Lothern blue or Baharoth blue into the psychic-y bits in the recesses, but like thinning it right down so you can just drop it into those recesses. So you've got the real kind of bright flesh of the thing, and then you'd want to move that more into an actual kind of more humanoid kind of pinky skin. Something like Guilliman flesh would probably be how I would do it, based on the picture that I can see and that you all can't. So let me just pull that one up. Leviathan Zones ropes. There we go. So you see this here? In fact, let me just open image in new tab. There we go. So if you look upon the Leviathan stuff there. So if you look, this is what I do when I'm figuring out painting tutorials, right? So you see how you've got the real kind of pinky skin here in the recesses, but then it moves into a much more kind of browny. There's less pink involved on that brain. That, to me, is Guilliman flesh right there. And then there's a slight mistake there from whoever painted this for Games Workshop, but that in there is quite a deep blue actually. So you could probably get away actually on there with like dropping Assamon blue in. Oh. That would be how I would do it, I reckon. But yeah, that's the official one from Games Workshop. That would be how I would do that. What's the right highlight color for Ultramarines? Calgar blue is a good highlight for Ultramarines. And then a spot highlight for Calgar blue is Fenrisian grey. And a really, really bright spot highlight is Blue Horror. That's how I've done it. If you look at my Ultramarines, my Guilliman tutorial, that's how I would do it. You can use Altdorf Guard blue. That's generally what they recommend. The old GW paint guides used to recommend that you do Macragge blue, then you would shade it all with Nuln Oil, and then you would highlight it with Altdorf Guard blue, then Calgar blue, and then a spot highlight of Fenrisian grey. You don't need to do the Altdorf Guard blue step because it's not that much of a difference between Altdorf and Macragge blue, unless you go quite dark with your Ultramarines. How would you paint the red Carnosaur on the Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur? I don't know. Would I go over it with one part? So I tried using your recipe for Dark Angels on some Blade Guard, but I went 1 part Black Legion and Contrast Medium, then I did 1 part Contrast Medium, 1 part Archelian Green, and 1 part Black Legion. Sorry to hear you. Would I go over it with 1 part Black Legion and 1 part Contrast Medium to fix it? So what does it look like, Captain Azek? Is it not quite right? Do you want it to go darker? Is that what you want? Right. Yeah, so what I would do to bring it down darker is I would look at like using something like null oil. You want to do it in steps because at that point, is it really bright? Is that what the problem? You want it to go blacker? I know you've already said that, but like, is it too bright for you at the moment? Because if you go over it with the 1-to-1 Black Legion, that will fix it, but it will make it very black, which is not a problem. It'll look good, but it will make it very black. Let me look at the Saurus Old Blood. Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur. Do. Currently out of stock. Oh, it's very red. So the red on that Carnosaur, I would do as... you know, because I'm a nutter, what I would probably do is Bile red, because then you can get the little markings and stuff that are coming down onto the soft parts of the flesh. But then I would go over it with probably a 1-to-1 contrast medium flesh tearers red to bring it right down. Then I would do the black using Black Legion. Then I would dry brush all the black with Administratum Grey or Dawnstone if you don't want it to be that bright, and I would dry brush all of the red with Wazdaka red followed by some Wild Rider red. That's how I would do that. The skin as well is an interesting one. The skin I would probably do with Reichland Flesh Shade over it neat, because it's really pale. Be how I would do that. Hope that helps. You can't really go wrong with them. That's the thing. There we go. I saw the article. I haven't read it yet. Jack. Oh, thank you, Lobster Harmy. Yeah, I was explaining earlier, like my health has been terrible for the last week, and then I was really upset after Golden Demon, and I had to convince myself that I'm a good painter. Which is why I've been painting some Tempestus Scions to try and recover some of my strength. And I think I'm on the right track. You guys are being very nice to me, and that always helps. No, Dolfo, I'm doing it on a dry palette, but you can do it on a wet palette, just not too wet palette, because having water involved in contrast tends to start to separate the pigments. That's why contrast medium is very good. If you're going to use a wet palette, you probably don't need contrast medium. You're probably better off with Lahmian medium. But I don't know, because I don't really use one. I'm going to do a video, I was saying earlier, I'm going to do a video that is about thinning paint. I specifically bought some new pots of Lahmian and contrast medium for the purpose of that video, because these have very different effects on contrast paints. Because Lahmian medium is very liquidy and contrast medium is very contrasty. You can tell by just looking at them. If I do that. So one looks more milky than the other. But yes, I bought these. And I've also got some other stuff. So for example, this stuff is good for thinning contrast paint. This stuff is good for thinning contrast paint. But they have very different effects on what happens to it when you do it. So yes, I'm going to film that. Might be the wrong time to ask, but any chance of an Eldrad tutorial? Yeah, Eldrad is something I would like to do. I don't have the time right now. We'll see what we can do. It's on the list. I think you've asked before, Cameron. It is on the list. I know it's on the list of things to do. I know for a fact. Given your focus on contrast, what are your thoughts of slap chop? Maybe controversial. If people want to slap chop their miniatures, they absolutely can. The only thing I would say about slap chopping is, are you really saving time for a better looking model? It's that whole thing, right, of to get a really good slap chop effect, you need to have an airbrush, right? Because you need to get the zenithal prime in there if you're going to do it like really well. Because there's two different types, right? As far as I understand it, you spray it black and then you do a really heavy dry brush, but that can give it a really scratchy finish, which not a lot of people. Well, some people don't like that. I don't like that. So for me, it's like, okay, well, we need to zenithal prime it then. And if you need to zenithal prime it, you can do it with a rattle can, but it's not as good and smooth and as accurate as it would be if you did it with an airbrush. So are you really saving time by spraying it black or grey or whatever, then dry brushing it a couple of times, then applying paint, as opposed to one prime and then painting it? That's the question. That's what I, you know, because I think you can get a good finish with slap chop, sure, but like I personally don't like you know, like on Space Marines when you slap chop a Space Marine, for example, and you've got that scratchy dry brush finish on the shoulder pad. It can look really good, but most of the time it looks a bit scratchy. And I don't like that. So I personally wouldn't do that, because I like it to be big and imposing and a nice smooth flat colour. So yeah, I've personally not slap chopped anything, because I for me I just don't, it doesn't do for me what I think people think it does. Same thing for zenithal priming. Like zenithal priming, as I've already mentioned, you can spray it Mechanica Standard Grey, you can spray it black, and then you can spray it again. But you've got to wait for that first one to dry. And it's the same. It's always that thing of, trust me, this will save you time. But if I spray a miniature, wait an hour or two, and then start painting it, I'm ahead of you because you've waited an hour or two and you've had to prime again. Hi, is it possible to make some Griffcharger Grey-ish paint from other paints? Dilute Ultramarines blue with medium or technical Nighthawk Gloom will work. Maybe some mix of green / grey / blue. Yeah, you want... The funny thing with Griffcharger Grey is there's not a whole lot of grey in there. It's more of a blue. Weirdly, Drakenhof Nightshade and Coelia Greenshade together will make you a Griffcharger Grey. It won't be as strong as Griffcharger Grey, but Griffcharger Grey isn't a particularly strong colour anyway. So Corellia Green Shade, maybe on its own, might be what you're after. Albeit, because it's a shade paint, the shade paints aren't as strong as the contrast paints. They're still good, but they're not as strong as contrast paints. Mag the Gath. I think Slapchop is more about less effort than less time. And yeah, and if that's what you're after, then Slapchop is the right way forward. For me, it's about time rather than effort, because I like to push my models as far as I can. You know. So that's how I like to do things. It's the way I am. Will you paint the new Weird Hollow? Yes, I will. I have Domitan's Storm Coven right here. Sent to me early by Games Workshop. I was just at Warhammer Fest, so I couldn't do it. Yes, I will get to them. Hipster, I'll have you know that you are the only person I have ever got a membership on because of you, me, and many others. Great results. Thank you. Golden Demons are cool, but we appreciate you. Dale, that's very, very kind of you. You're an absolute boss. Thank you. Use Slapchop to get my BB teams ready for an event. Gave me a consistent, if slightly rough look. There you go. So you're getting ready for events. Slapchop's perfect. For me, it's like if you've got the time and you want to put the effort in. For me, it's always about like if I'm gonna be happy with how it looks, then that's where I will leave it. So it's like I just love to have my models looking as good as they possibly can, because what I really love, right, is I love that moment when you put your army down in front of your opponent, or you put your army down, or somebody comes over. Like when people come over, they love to look in this cabinet, and go. The one that I often get told is it's like going to Warhammer World, which is a very, very, very kind thing to say. But for me, it's like all of my models I like to have at the highest effort possible, because for one, I'm kind of teaching you guys, or trying to show you some tips on how to get your models to look as good as they possibly can be, and then you can choose to use as much or as little of it as you wish to. But looking in this cabinet fills me with joy. Cameron, it varies. It varies. Sometimes it's quite far in advance. Sometimes it's not very far in advance. It's all about distribution, shipping, and time. It's a fun one. Helps soften the blow when Angron destroys you. Exactly. When a really nice Angron does it, you're like, do you know what? I ain't even mad, bro. One more question. Do you varnish them after? No, but I really should. I really should. Been watching your videos and enjoying it lately. Currently trying to get over the whole which is better AP speed paint versus contrast. Trying to figure out how to paint my many figs in the pile of shame. Well, that is the big question, isn't it? Which is better? I would suggest that neither of them is better than the other. The real way to answer that question is which one is right for you in that moment. Because ultimately, the end product is painted models. Now, what's the quickest and best way to get from unpainted models to painted models? So the example I will give is that there are a lot of shades in the AP speed paint range, and the next one down is contrast in terms of the amount of shades that they have, colors that they have. So having the volume of choice in the AP range, if you, let's say, okay, so here's the thing, right? Let's say you want to get 60 skeletons painted really quickly. Skeleton Horde is great for that. But Bony Matter might be a more appropriate shade for what you're after. In which case, Bony Matter is the right paint for that situation. Because you're going to be painting with AP speed paints. For me, it's like if you're going to be painting loads of miniatures at once and you just need to get them done, then they are pretty good for that. But there is obviously issues of things like reactivation. Not that apparently it happens, but there's issues like that, and you know, there's the volume of which you're painting. There's the just the right shade aspect of it, because you can get there with any paint range, right? So like even with Vallejo, you can mix them and match them and thin them and thicken them and all that kind of thing until you get the right shade that you want, but you shouldn't have to do that. Contrast is really good because there's loads of different shades, particularly blues. There's tons of blues and there's tons of greens. So there's loads of great shades in there for that. AP has got loads of shades. And interestingly enough, I think a lot of the AP stuff fits around the contrast range. There's not really many that are like a direct, like there's this one versus this one. Because if there was that case, then you could go, well, okay, well, which one of these is better? But like their reds do not match up with what Blood Angels Red and Flesh Terrors Red and Baal Red do. Their reds are different. So is it like Poppy Red is one of them, I'm thinking off the top of my head? I don't know the range as well as I should. So it's a case of which one is right. Is the shade correct? That's the best way to go at it. Do you have any paints from other companies you prefer over GW paints? I quite like this white. I like this Vallejo white. This one. I like that one. That's a nice paint. That's a nice colour. It's a good one, that one. I have this because loads of people told me to get it. It's the Vallejo Chrome, and it's, you know, it's pretty good. I like it. I just don't really use it very often. I used it on a couple of my personal models, but it is very bright. And that's a good thing, but like, it's very bright. It's much brighter than Stormhost Silver. To my eye anyway. It's more akin to like a brighter version of Runefang Steel. So it's not quite Stormhost Silver. It's quite bluish, this one. I'd like to get some more. It's just a case of time and money. And availability, of course. Dolfo, it isn't much, but I just want to say thanks. I've completely dived into this hobby largely because of your videos. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And 10 is way more than I would ever expect from anyone. That's very, very kind of you. What would be your choice of contrast paint to go over Iron Hand Steel for Dante's gold armor? Ooh, interesting. You've gone for a silver and then a gold, a yellow contrast paint over the top. I would probably... Oh, that's a tough one. If I was to do it that way, I would probably thin down Gore Grunter Fur and put that over the top and then relayer it with gold. That's how I would do it. The other option would be to maybe do a Yandan Yellow for it to be quite warm. The other ones are quite flat. They don't really contrast paint enough. So like Bad Moon Yellow, Imperial Fist, they're really, really good, but they won't give you any recesses. So maybe Yandan Yellow would be how I would do that. Oh, Vicious Goose, thank you so much. That's very, very... Dido? My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why. But I'm not mad at all. There will be no white flag above my door. What colours would you use for Ferrus Manus armour? I feel like I'm stuck. I'm enjoying this. This is a fun stream. It's just me answering painting questions. Maybe I should do this more often. Let's go to Forge World and have a look, shall we? Boop, boop. Boop, 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 doo. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop. Oh my. Yes, he's got a very interesting armor, hasn't he? He also doesn't have a 360-degree thing. Do you know what I would do for this? I would probably do Ultramarines blue followed by Black Templar is how I would do his armor. Because it's not quite like full-on black, is it? Hello, Alice. I heard you come home. I heard your keys. And then you opened a letter. I'm guessing from Specsavers? The Ferris model does have a head, but it can be modelled without one. It's a little joke of theirs. Someone's Warlord Titan fell off the table at my local GW store, and I've never seen so much resin shattering out like that. Guess it's super brittle. That, or they glued it with super glue, and really what you should use is epoxy for something of that size. Broadsword. A Warhipster AMA. Shall I do that? Shall I go on Reddit? Shall I do a Warhipster AMA, and then everyone can ask me whatever they want, and then I'll get weird questions. Have you ever caught anyone cheating in a game of 40k/AOS? Sort of. I've had 2 games where one of them wasn't a cheat. One of them was a spiteful gotcha. So I had a game at an event where my opponent wasn't clear with what he was asking. He said, "Are we agreeing that all of these are ruins?" And I said, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, it's just so that I know." I was like, I mean, yeah. This is an 8th edition. And he goes, "Okay, cool." Turn 1, he moves a unit inside what is an encased building. And he goes, "Right, I'm going to put these in here, and I'm going to put them 3 inches back from the wall so you can't charge them." And I was like, "You can't get in there. That's an enclosed building." He's like, "But you said they were ruins." I was like, "Well, they are, but you can't put your models in there." He's like, "Yeah, but if they're ruins, then by the letter of the game, I can go in them." I was like, "But can you place your models inside?" He said, "But that doesn't matter." I was like, "No, it does." You have to be able to place your models inside the thing. He's like, no. So we got TO over, and the TO just went, "Well, you know, it is what it is." And I said, "Look, if you want to play it that way, that's the end of the game, because I can't actually win this game." He's like, "Yes, you can." I said, "No, I can't. This game is about..." It was that mission in 8th edition where it was like, you score points if you hold more and kill more, and you could only do it with you could only hold with like infantry. I was playing knights. I was like, so once I've killed your army, I can get kill more in 3 turns, But in 5 turns, you can get hold more. So I can't win. Mathematically, this game is over right now if you want to play it that way. He was like, no, you can still win. I was like, I can't, because I can't hold objectives. I can only win this by scoring kill more, but if you hide something in there that I can't see, can't charge, and can't do anything against, you will score in every turn, I will score in 3 turns, therefore the game is over, and I'm not playing. And it went round the houses like that for like 15 minutes, and he made me play the whole game. And every time it came to me, I just went, right, I'm going to shoot, there we go, doesn't matter. And he was like, are you not having fun? I was like, no, because this is an unwinnable game. You know this is an unwinnable game. And he got to the end, and he was like, right, should we count out the points? I went, yeah, you won. He went, no. It's pretty close. I was like, no, it's not. It's not. You've won the game. You know you've won the game. You knew you won the game in turn 1 when you asked me that bullshit question. So that was it. It was the worst game of Warhammer I've ever had in my life, because it was if somebody was just like. The other one was when I was playing at a tournament, and it was a singles tournament, but there was a dad and his son playing, and it wasn't really cheating. I can't really say that it was cheating, but the dad was doing all of the moving and this, that, and the other, and the son was rolling all the dice. But the son was like, it was like game 3 on the end of the day, and the son was clearly tired, and I wasn't really in the mood or whatever. So the son was sat at the corner of the table behind this large building, and he would just roll the dice and then pick them up and tell me what the result was. So I'd be like, he rolls it, it's like 10, right, so it's 3s to hit, they all hit. 3s to hit, they all wound. And I'd be like, you need to let me see the dice. You can't just go, they all hit, they all wound. It was literally, I'll demonstrate. So he was doing this. So it was literally like this. It would be like, yeah, they all hit. Yeah, they all wound. And it was like, no, that's not how dice work. The worst bit was when he went, how many saves do I have to make? It's like, oh, you have to make 7 saves. He went, they all save. I went, it's unlikely, because you are at -3, so you didn't roll 7 6s. And it went on like that for 5 turns. I was just like, just roll them in the middle of the table where I can see them. Instead of just going, yep. 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 Epoxy steel bars were used for mine with 5 kilograms of excess resin by the end. Nice. Weird questions like, what size feet do you have? Oh, I see on the AMA. I have size 11 feet. For those who wish to know. Do you want to buy me any trainers? Was there a cheese question? What was the cheese question? What is UK size 11 in freedom units? Oh, I think it's like 13, 14 in in freedom units. I haven't got a pair of shoes here to check. What was the cheese question? Non-paint question. What's your favourite kind of cheese? Oh, I see, Cameron. What is my favourite kind of... I'm really boring, and I do like cheddar. I like a really mature cheddar. A really, really mature cheddar. That's my favourite. But I am really bass when it comes to cheese. How would you do a contrast camo cloak? How would you do a contrast camo cloak? What, like on a Space Marine? Because I did the Tanith cloaks. If you check out the Gaunt's Ghosts video, that's how I did those ones. I don't know if I did an Eliminators video. Have you ever seen anyone rage at a Warhammer game? Yes. Yes, I've seen some serious rage. I was at a thing when I was a teenager and playing games, and it was at this sort of independent place, and all of the tables were set up on like painting dressing tables, so they're not very strong. Just that's key. A guy was having a really bad time. This would have been like 3rd, 4th edition. It was a really bad time at a game, and he got so mad that he just smashed both hands down on the table, forgetting that they were paint trestle tables, and it broke the thing in the middle like that. Just went like that, and the whole thing just went into into the center of the table, and the whole place just went absolutely silent. It was hilarious, and also terrible. I miss playing as I had a 15-year gap. I lost contact with all the ones I played with and forgot how to play, so I stick to just painting now. Oh, Soul Reaper. The beauty of the world of modern technology is that you can find games pretty easily now. I remember when I was in Leeds and I was building an Eldar army back then, and I was looking for a place to go and play, and I would look up on the internet like Warhammer clubs, and there was just nothing. And it wasn't until I left that somebody started a Facebook page for the local game, and I realised it was only around the corner from where I lived in Headingley. It was like a couple of places over, but I'd have had to walk to the community centre to look at the board to see when the Warhammer Club met, and I just didn't think to do that because it was just like, well, there's no one, there's definitely not going to be one here. But there was a group of wargamers who used to play there now, but now it's very easy to find them if you ever want to get back into it. Got one more. It's an old model, but will you paint Radikar the Beast or the new Ivya Volga? I've already done Ivya Volga. Tronic. That video is live now. You can see it on youtube.com/Warhipster. I will go and find it for you now. Ivya Volga. I think I was the only one to do a contrast painting tutorial on it. Yes. No one else bothered. Well, that was... There you go. Ivya Volga. And Radikar the Beast I would love to get to. You did Snickrot. Yes, I did do Snickrot. You could, that's another camo you could do on his trouser and his backpack. Kaz, loved Warhammer Fest and Seraphon videos. Keep it coming. Hope your day gets better. Question for you, if you will. What is a good tropical ocean colour? Struggling to find a good one. Thank you very much for the 10, Kaz. That's very, very kind of you. A good tropical ocean colour. Do you know? Eldari Emerald. Eldari Emerald's pretty close. Croxagore Scales is pretty good as well. And if you do a blend of the two... In fact, I think... Let me just look it up. What was he called? He was called... There we go. So, this video here, the Blood Pelt Hunter, if you check out the section where I paint the Saurus head on his belt, that to me is a pretty good tropical ocean colour. So I start that at 1832, where I use Eldari Emerald, and then use Gut Ripper Flesh and Achillean Green to add some bluer and greener elements. Yeah, check out that video and see what you think. I overheard someone yelling expletives and threatening physical violence at a local shop because someone had the audacity to ask someone else to move his models because they were in the way. Question for you. Who do you see going down in the Premier League this season? Well, isn't that the big question? Let me look at the table. I haven't looked at it recently. How many games have we got left? 19... what's that? 38. So there's 3 games left for the sides at the bottom. Leeds are in trouble. Southampton are in trouble. Ooh. Oh, it's so tight at the bottom. It's been insane this year, the Premier League. There's 16 points between Southampton and Wolves in 13th. And Wolves and Crystal Palace are on evens. Leeds look like they're going down. And Southampton do as well, sadly. I think it would be very funny if Everton did, but I don't think they will. I think they'll dig it out. They always do. So Leicester or not Nottingham Forest, I reckon. They're the ones that are really in danger. Southampton, I think, are gone. I don't think there's no way they can... Yeah. They'd have to win all 3. Nottingham Forest to lose all 3 for Southampton to be on evens with Nottingham Forest. So I think they're probably already gone. Caused rage once the Doom of Melantai and Yamal's Gene Stealers plus Swarmlord versus Catachans, who's never played Nids way back when, threw his dice across Warhammer World when the mine sucked his guardsmen. I had something like I caused rage once in a game when I was running an 8th edition. Right at the beginning of 8th edition, I was running a army that consisted of 1,000 points of guard and 1,000 points of Adeptus Mechanicus. And 1,000 points of guard was a Baneblade, a Trojan, a Salamander, 2 Primaris Psykers, and a Commander. And the whole point of it was you pumped up the Baneblade to be 2+ to hit, re-rolling everything. And you also gave it a 5-up invulnerable save with Night Shroud, and you made it -1 to hit as well, with whatever the psychic powers were. And then it had the 4 sponsons, Baneblade Cannon, all that kind of thing. And then the Admech side of it was a Onaga June Crawler, 2 units of Castellan robots, Belisarius Call, a Dominus, and the guy, well, not the Dominus, the guy who let the battle bots shift into their shooting profile. So it was basically a case of I've got more guns than anyone, and in the game in turn 1 he piled everything into the Baneblade, did not kill it. I was able to have Belisarius Call do his Mechanicus-y things to put it back over the bracket that I needed it to be back up to its top bracket. And then in that shooting phase proceeded to kill 2 Vindicators, a Land Raider, 10 Terminators, and it was something else as well. It just took about 1,200 points of his army off the table, and the rest of it was like troops. It wasn't going to bother my army at all. He got very, very angry, very quiet, and immediately conceded and wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the day. And I was like, "Is what you wanted? A competitive game of Warhammer. It's what you got." Leeds and Leicester could go down. Yeah, it's probably likely. Plops of Corn, 4.99. We'll catch up later. I got to put the kids to bed. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you, Plops of Corn. I love your name. It's my favourite. Mag the Gath, welcome to the Warhipster membership family. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And a doubles list, which was Be'lakor, Angarath, and some Plague Bearers. Be'lakor made Angarath invisible. First game asked if he had any questions, etc. They said no, and it didn't go well. Is that 7th edition? Being able to make invisible units? I can't remember. 95 likes on the stream. Guys, you are amazing. Thank you very much. Can we tip that over to 100? If you haven't already liked the stream, please do, as we've only got a couple of minutes left before I'm going to go and stretch my back, because I feel old and crusty, and if I do this, it'll click. I feel like the current range of contrast paints is missing anything. Yeah, I think there's still one purple missing. I think there's another red that's missing. A really deep red that's darker than Flesh Terror's red, but not burgundy. That would be nice to have. An actual grey that isn't got any brown in it. That would be very nice to have. Blues and greens, I think we're satisfied. And I'd like a really, really, really pink flesh. And I could always do with more browns. Yeah, just like a really deep pool of red. Because Sigval Burgundy is nice, but it's more purple than it is red. So it's more burgundy-ish. But just something that's the other side of that would be really cool. Something that is akin to, not corn red, but a little bit darker than corn red. Do you think they'll do metallic contrasts next? No, I don't think they will. And I would hope that they won't. Because the whole, as much as I don't like doing it, you really want to paint your metallics over stuff to cover up details. It means you can be a little bit more messy around things like bolt guns and stuff like that. To have to neaten things up in order to be able to put in the metallics. That was the problem I had with the AP ones. Is it's like it doesn't cover over the sins. You have to cover it up before you can cover it up with the metallics. Fundamentally as well, like with the AP speed paint metallics, they have really shiny recesses, but they just pull back to white on the edges, so it's not a really metallic highlight. And that's what you want, is you want that, like, picture a sword, right? You want the sword to have a silver edge. You don't want it to have a white edge. It looks weird. So yeah, I don't think they will. I think there will be more contrast paints that will come out though. Maybe. Who knows? We'll have to wait at least 2 years to find out, because we're having 10th edition this year, and if you know anything about anything, that would lead me to believe that next year will be AOS 4, and then after AOS 4 we have a gap. So maybe that's when we'll get some more hobby product, or like more contrast paints. So maybe there will be. Thank you for your work. I always watch your channel. It helps a lot. No, you're very kind. Thank you. I know it was a Warhammer Fest, so there was a gap, but just tell me, how are you able to put a video every single day? How you stay that much consistent? I don't put one out every single day. Essentially what I do is I commit to a minimum of 2 painting videos per week, Thursday and Saturday. But a lot of content comes out occasionally. So, like, for example, when the Horus Heresy box came out, I don't want to be putting out... I just say to myself, I don't want to be putting out a Traitor Legion and a Space Marine Legion twice a week for the next 9 weeks because it would get boring and it's a long time to go. So I just go for it. But I plan these things sort of 2-3 weeks in advance. So like Leviathan, when that box eventually drops, if I get my hands on it, there's a ton of different miniatures in there. There's at least 4 Space Marine characters. 4 Space Marine characters. There's the Dreadnought, there's the Shooty Men's, there's the Fiery Men's, and there's the Terminator Men's. So that's what, like 8 models, 8 units. And then on the Tyrannids, we've got the Hormigons? Termagants, whichever it is. The other Gaunts, the Shooty Gaunts, the Screamer Killer, the Prime, the Psychophage, and Tyrant. I think it's like 7 or 8. So that'd be 16 videos. So that's 16 days worth of content. So I just have to get ahead of it. And it helps that I paint for 16 hours a day usually when my back doesn't hurt. Are you excited to paint the Tyrannids? I am. It's going to be cool. Start of a Tyrannid army for me, I'm sure. 2,000 points though. I won't go more than that. He says. And then we see all of the amazing Tyrannid releases that we're definitely going to get. Von Ryan's Leapers, of course. I forgot about them. I'm probably going to be doing it the Greatest Space Marine Legion, of course. Yes, the Blood Angels. We shall see. We shall see, of course. But yes, it is 7:05, guys. We've been live for 2 hours. Thank you so much for chatting with me this afternoon. If you like these types of streams, I will do these more often in the afternoons rather than the late evenings. I'm also planning another 24-hour stream. I've just got to build the army I want to do it with. It's the vampires. So I'm planning another one of those to do probably in sort of August time. Black Templars are the best. Could do Black Templars. We shall see. I'm sure you will get your copies of Leviathan. And if not, I will send strongly worded emails on your behalf. But yes, planning another one of those. But yes, thank you very much for hanging out with me, guys. I am going to leave it there because I'm going to go and have some dinner. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to get back to painting some Tempestus Scions. And then I'll start filming some content again. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for the super chats. It's very grateful of you. I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you very, very much for the new members. Welcome to the family. Make sure you join the Discord and come hang out. And I swear the next stream that we do will not be about my feelings or my health. I promise. See you all very soon in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Catch you on the flip side. Love you very much. Bye-bye for now. Bye. Bye.